Welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Mariancho, and it's Friday, May 16th, 4 p.m. Time for another live stream, time for another draft on Underdog. Let us begin. All right, here it is. The screen. You're probably familiar with this if you've been a return viewer. So we are going to hop into a puppy tournament today. $5 entry. I think on Monday I will do my first Best Ball Mania of the offseason. But today, just some puppies. We'll probably do one more after this. It's a 20-second timer. So if you do want to hop in, you can hit that button right now. I'm on a roughly 8-second delay. So I'll give it a little beat here and then I'll join myself. Let's get in right now. Hopefully, if you want to join me, you can. There are 10 spots available, so hopefully this thing fills relatively fast. If you want it, come get it. You can use code Nice and Blunt when you sign up for Underdog if you're new, and you will get your first deposit matched by up to $1,000, 1-for-1 match in bonus cash. So if you want it, go ahead and get it. Now 9 spots. Looks like Jonathan is here in the chat. Yo, what up, my homie? Jonathan, I think, is the only moderator on the chat. But if anyone else is interested, you can get in line. Johnny Bravo says he's finishing one now. If I can make it, I will. There are still 9 spots. This one is filling relatively slowly. So if you want it, you can hop in. Dev says he'll be in on the next one, and he's about to grab some butt. No problemo, my friend. Take your time. We will do one more. We will not only do one today. And if you're looking forward to some schedule predictions, I do have a video that will be airing within about like 30-40 minutes of this live stream ending. Once it's over, it'll be uploaded. I'll just have to make a thumbnail for it and get all the timestamps in order to get that description on lock. But we do have an upload coming this afternoon, so stay tuned if you are interested. I'll be picking the AFC West wins and losses for all 4 teams. But now we're waiting on 3 people, so this is filling at a decent rate. Still 2 spots if you want it, but we will be starting very, very shortly. Johnny Bravo in round 16. Who are some targets for y'all at the end of the draft? Like round 17, round 18, that's a spot where if you do go undrafted, if you do go kind of like against the grain, that's where you have the most chance of having a unique roster. Like 2 years ago, the picks that not everyone made that made you the most money were Puka Nacua and Kyren Williams, and they were rarely taken in those rounds. So if you guys have some big smash picks, let me know. Looks like this draft is full, and we did get pick 5. So we're going to get a solid receiver. If at the worst, we'll get Bijan, and always happy to have a higher end pick. Let's make sure this fits onto the screen here. I think I got all the settings right. There we go. Fill it up as much as possible. Okay. Pick 5. We'll be on the clock soon. I guess we can keep this where it's at. Johnny Bravo saying Jalen Wright as a big pickup. Yeah, that's definitely tempting. Devon Achane barely played his rookie season. He did not get injured last year, though. So perhaps some of the injury concerns are not as big of a deal anymore. However, that Dolphins offense always has high-end running back upside. So, yeah, I'd be interested in Jalen Wright. I hope he can actually beat out Ollie Gordon. At the moment, I can't say guaranteed you're going to get Ollie Gordon with less value. But we miss out on CeeDee Lamb, so we could pull from the other side of the board and grab a receiver here that's against the ADP. But I'm going to pass on that. I'm going to go with Bijan. Just take Bijan while we can. it is rare you get Bijan to fall to you past pick 6. So we have a top 5 pick. We'll just take Bijan and figure it out the rest of the way. I have noticed if you don't grab a high-end running back, if your first one is like Kamara, it doesn't feel too good. If you don't grab a running back by round 5 or later, you're kind of in a bad spot. So while the receiver depth does dry up kind of quickly on Underdog, we don't want to get behind that position. I never really regret taking one of these round 1 running backs. You can usually figure it out and get some better values at receiver later on. You can still piece it together. So running back has been at a bit of a premium. We see Christian McCaffrey go at pick 9 in this draft, and we'll see who's even available to us. Maybe we go Jonathan Taylor and go running back. We did miss out on Taylor in the last draft on Wednesday. But Dev is saying Chris Olave possibly to the Steelers. How do I feel about it? I mean, for his sake, I would love to see it. I think he has very minimal fantasy value in New Orleans, not really expecting good quarterback production. I think they're a 1-win team. I don't see them winning more than 2 or 3 games. I really don't. So I was expecting that last year, and I was wrong about it. They won 5, but they don't feel like they're in any shape to compete. So I would love to see Chris Olave freed. Suave Olave. Been a longtime fan, but never felt like he's been in the right situation to really live up to expectation. His potential has been diminished in New Orleans. So I would like that. In terms of landing spot for the Steelers, we need Rodgers there, man. Like, if Rodgers is not there, that team sucks. So until that happens, I don't really think it's a big upgrade for Olave. And I don't think it'll probably happen because they did trade for Metcalf, and they have less available compensation to give up in a trade. So I wouldn't expect it to happen. I doubt it. But we're going to go with Jonathan Taylor here. We will go double running back, and we will scratch the itch that I was not able to get done on Wednesday when we got sniped on Taylor. I gave you a big, long monologue on why I like Taylor this year, and then we didn't get him. So that was disappointing. We get him this time. We go Bijan Taylor, and that's definitely different than the last draft we did. We took 4 straight receivers last time around. So Bijan and Taylor is the start. Dev saying in the late rounds he likes Jimmy Horn Jr. and Xavier Restrepo. Restrepo has some potential. I'm forgetting who drafted Restrepo. Already forgetting. He went late. I thought he would be drafted sooner than he actually did. But we're about to be on the clock. We'll take a look at Restrepo in just a sec. Oh, Titans? Yeah, there's definitely some upside with the Titans. He is with Cam Ward there. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I kind of wanted Garrett Wilson on this team, but it doesn't happen. We've taken Devontae Adams so much. I think I'll just take Tyreek Hill. I think in round 3, Tyreek Hill probably works out. We were getting him at top 3 last season. So Tyreek Hill at pick 29, I think is just as valuable as Devontae Adams. I'm more likely to go Devontae Adams straight up, but we've taken Adams a lot, so I'll mix it up and go with Tyreek Hill. But, oh, he didn't get drafted. I totally thought he would. That's kind of funny. Yeah, does go undrafted. So has he not signed with the Titans yet? I'm guessing not. You're just taking the swing that they take him? I'm confused. Yeah, he's not on over the cap, which means he does not have a contract. Okay. I mean, definitely a unique player to take. Not too many people grabbing him right now. He did. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm not paying attention to the Titans depth chart and free agent signings at this time of the year like crazy. But yeah, they also have Tyler Lockett. They also drafted Elik Yamanor and Cameron DK. If it's not for the connection he already has with Ward out of Miami, there's not a ton of reasons to be trusting Restrepo. But for the sake of being unique, it's not terrible. Can't say I've done it, but who knows? Maybe if we do have a Cam Ward team and we need something at the end of the draft, we'll consider Restrepo one day. But Grapefruit asking, you thinking about Adams in the third to pair with Bijan for the Week 17 correlation, or does that not really matter to you? I could definitely argue it's worth it, but at this point in time, I can't say it's like the thing I'm targeting most, because the thing about Underdog is like, yes, you make all the money in Week 17, and that is something to keep in mind, but you also have to get to Week 17. You know, you can have the best stack lined up possible for Week 17, a ton of correlation, and then your team doesn't even make it past Week 15. It's all irrelevant. So I'll just grab Tyreek Hill. I know the Dolphins have some home games at the end of the season, and I actually think the Dolphins offense could be pretty good in the fantasy playoffs, assuming that Tua's healthy, of course. But at the end of the year, weeks 15, 16, 17, the Dolphins are at the Steelers. That's not ideal week 15. Could be a bad weather game. But then they get 2 home games versus the Bengals and versus Tampa. Those are going to be shootouts, man. Those are going to be high-scoring games. So I'm not afraid to take the Dolphins. And while there is that correlation you mentioned for Adams, week 17 at Atlanta, that's also probably a high-scoring game in a dome. Not bad. It's just not something that like I feel I have to do, or else I'll be completely screwed. So, just wanted to take best player available, and it felt like it was less likely we'd have some Bijan, Taylor, Tyreek Hill starts as opposed to Bijan, Taylor, and then Adams. I'm tempted to go with Kittle. I think Kittle's a very good pick here, but because we start off running back, I don't think we have the luxury of going Kittle. We just grabbed Calvin Ridley for the sake of depth and trusting Cam Ward to get him the ball. I do think Ridley's stats will go up. Last year, he would have definitely warranted a round 5 pick, and I really think there's a world where Ridley's of round 4 selection. I think he could be more valuable than Jamison Williams, Zay Flowers, maybe even Cortland Sutton, and perhaps even guys like DJ Moore, Travis Hunter, and Mike Evans. I think Ridley's very safe for 1,000+ yards, and he should eclipse 7+ touchdowns. I think Cam Ward will get him the ball pretty well. They're also not going to win that many games. They have good game script for throwing the ball a lot next year. So I will take Ridley. I think he's one of the better receivers in round 5 and one of the last like true alpha wide receiver ones you can feel confident about, knowing he gets the bulk of the volume. The target share could reach 30+% for Ridley this season. They pay him like crazy. It's kind of ridiculous, the contract they gave Ridley. I believe it's $24 million per year in Tennessee. Mr. Grapefruit saying, I can see a Bijan, Taylor, Adams, Hunter start being popular. Who did the Jaguars pull in the fantasy playoffs? What's their schedule like? They get at Denver, at the Colts in week 16, 17, and then versus the Jets week 15. So that dome game at the Colts, that'll be interesting. That should be good. I actually am starting to buy into the Jaguars. Looked at their schedule. I think if Lawrence stays healthy, Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, that combo could be pretty good. And then their running back room is very deep, so at least some guy should emerge there. I think the Jags are going to be in play for a playoff spot. Obviously, that division is kind of weak, so they could take it. And at pick, whatever it is here, almost pick 70, we do have Kamara and Henderson falling. I like Henderson. I'm going to grab the best running back I think available here, falling 6 picks. I think TreVeyon Henderson is more valuable than Alvin Kamara, straight up. So I will grab Henderson, and we have a very strong running back room. This gives me the luxury to really move off the position in the next few rounds. Like, we can wait until the last 3 rounds to grab a couple handcuffs and call it a day with 5. So That's what I'm going to do. Prioritize running back depth a little bit more. And if we get a great value in like round 10 or something, then maybe we'll only call it with 4. But at the moment, I will be moving off running back for quite some time with this start. Bijan Taylor, Travion Henderson. The volume is pretty much guaranteed. And then at receiver, we have Tyreek Hill, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley. We do need to pay attention to receiver, though. I think in this round, we can't afford to go Judkins or Caleb Johnson. We're just going to take the best receiver we can get. And that's probably Brandon Ayuk. Most likely that's the pick at 77. We see Diggs come off the board. Yeah, that Colts-Jags game, that could be a shootout. I don't see much defense in that one. But Ayuk obviously has the biggest risk here, but if he stays healthy, he also has the biggest upside. So we'll swing for the fence on Ayuk. You can justify Jaden Reed at this price, but Reed is a bit more of like a 30-point swing, like maybe 4 times. Like he's not going to be a consistent producer for you, whereas Ayuk could be a weekly staple in this lineup if we luck out on health. So we'll take Ayuk. I think that's the right pick. And so far, the receiver room is filling out somewhat nicely. But I will definitely be happy to take Tyreek Hill after Rashee Rice and Marvin Harrison are off the board. That's definitely not a pick I'll regret. And then Devontae Smith, I've said it many times, I think is one of the safest receivers in round 4. There may be a higher ceiling with Mike Evans, Tet McMillan, Travis Hunter, but hard to find a higher floor with Devontae Smith. He has missed some games, though. Devontae Smith doesn't always remain on the field for a full season. Let's move this up a little bit. Let's show you a little more of the board. There we go. Okay, so Mahomes, Caleb, and Baker come off. A little run on QB. And based on our stacking potential, I don't think we're grabbing a quarterback either. So that's good for us. I do not want TJ Hawkinson. We learned from last time TJ Hawkinson, not a great pick here. But there's no one that like really gives you much optimism. Dang. We'll target some of that late week 17 game correlation. We saw that the Titans play the Colts. We'll go Josh Downs. Dev saying I need to get Titans pilled. Ridley is the only receiver that gets drafted about pick 200. What do you mean about pick 200? I know there's a Yamanor, and I think a Yamanor is being chosen before 200. Really? Lockett is their next guy? Let's pull up Titans. A Yamanor goes 196. So that's basically 200. Tyler Lockett is at 201. DK, Cameron DK, 215. And then Burks, 216. I don't see why you'd be drafting Burks. But that's a bad pick. But the running backs, affordable prices on running backs with Pollard and Tyjae Spears. I do think the Cam Ward stack is like very valuable. You know, like if you don't have Ridley, you're never targeting it. And it's late enough where you're passing on very minimal valued players at that point. I do think the Cam Ward, Calvin Ridley stack does have some upside. Luther Burden falls 11 picks. I don't think Luther Burden's actually like a good pick, in all honesty. This is why I really wished we got Garrett Wilson, because then we could go Justin Fields. This is kind of sad. We're going to go Luther Burden as the time expires. Just grab the 11 pick discount. I still don't think it's low enough. I think Luther Burden should be going even further. But one thing that is kind of tempting about this Bears target share, they told you at the draft they have very little confidence in the combo of DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. I don't know if they hate one more than the other or they just don't have much faith in either. But by drafting Colston Level in pick 10 and then Luther Burden early second round, they're going to be throwing it like crazy. And those targets are up for grabs. I don't feel anywhere near as confident that DJ Moore is a good pick in the third round anymore. Now that he's fallen to round 4, I still don't think he's a great value. And then Rome Odunze is risky as well. He had a brutal season last year. Didn't see anything from Rome to make me convinced he needs to be drafted. So I do think Burden has a chance to be on equal footing with them. Granted, Loveland and Kmet also muddy the waters. It's going to be weird. I think you're going to get a lot of random spike weeks from these Bears receivers, and the only format I'm really targeting them would be best ball. So not having to worry about when to start them. It's just automatically in the lineup when they go off. That's the only appealing factor here, and getting Burden almost a full round past ADP is the only justification for taking him. But in general, I'm not drafting Luther Burden. I think this is the first time I've taken Burden all off season since the draft. So hopefully that works out. It does feel nice that we don't have to be drafting running back here because I do not want Tyrone Tracy. But we considered Justin Fields with the last pick, and here he is back on the clock at 116. So he falls a full round. We'll take Fields. Fields is someone you don't have to stack as well, because the real value with Fields is his rushing ability, and I'm sure the team with Garrett Wilson probably pissed that we sniped him, but that's their bummer. That's their problem. Not going to worry about leaving him for Team 1 over there. So we do get Fields, someone you don't have to worry about in terms of the stacking department, and we're going to be targeting 2 more quarterbacks. I think we can definitely target Tua with Tyreek Hill. We can also target Anthony Richardson with Josh Downs. And then obviously we have set up a Cam Ward stack, which, as Dev is saying, is extremely cheap, very affordable. So this is probably a 3 quarterback build, which means we should prioritize some tight ends right now. And maybe we target Anthony Richardson instead. Maybe we go Tyler Warren here if available at pick 125. I have not taken Warren very often, but definitely has some upside as a rookie tight end with value. I usually don't take him. We get sniped by Team 1, so that's not going to happen. That's not it. But we also get sniped on Kyle Williams. Jonathan wanted us to consider Kyle Williams. So I do kind of think Jack Betch is appropriately priced here, but obviously we don't have a Geno stack set up. So we'll just go tight end. We'll take David Njoku, the safety net of Njoku, a top 10 tight end that allows us to compete as our tight end 1. Njoku is one of the last guys I can feel comfortable with as my tight end 1, and then still feel like only drafting 2 is not the end of the world. So I will probably take Njoku on the stream a lot. I've taken Njoku a lot already. And while I would have preferred to go Warren, set up a Richardson stack, we go with Njoku instead. As long as Flacco's the quarterback, Njoku's going to ball out. Njoku is locked into the number 2 receiving role in Cleveland, and Flacco made him very valuable when that was the combo a couple years prior. I see a high ceiling for Njoku, who probably plays most games with Flacco this season. Like at some point, maybe we get Shadur, in the later half of the year at quarterback, but I think to start the year, we at least get Flacco, most likely under center. Sorry, I had some incense burning. I lit it before the stream, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't need the entire thing of incense to burn. Let's put that out.
But after this pick, we will take a rip. We will smoke a little bit. And right after this pick. So if you want to join me, you can smoke if you want to. Right after we make this selection. And like I said, we got such a luxury at running back with Bijan Taylor and Travion Henderson. Even though the values at running back are really good here, I don't think that is the ideal way to go. Maybe we should just bite the bullet because it's like, I'm not taking JJ McCarthy here, that's for sure. Let's just take Garendo. I think Garendo is like almost just as valuable as Zach Charbonnet. The upside of the running back in the Niners backfield behind McCaffrey is tremendous. So we'll go Garendo. I like Garendo in this range, and we will take that smoke break. So here it is. Always nice. Dev gonna hit the vape. Be careful with the vape, man. Be careful with the vape. Not that smoke is like great for you either, but sometimes there's some extra chemicals in the water vapor. You can laugh at me as much as you want. I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist on some of those things, and I guess it's not really a conspiracy, but like I'm just I'm more comfortable sticking with uh just straight burning the weed. But maybe I'm over cautious. That's just me. So our quarterback options, we got Tua, Cam Ward still there. Maybe we should just take one while we can. Because I don't need Rachaad White or Ray Davis. I don't need a running back. We already have 6 receivers. I kind of like Jalen Noel here. I kind of like Tillman, but I think we're just going to grab Tua. And if we miss out on Cam Ward, that way we're not totally screwed. We'll just take Tyreek Hill. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa to pair with Tyreek Hill. We go with the Tua stack on Tyreek. Probably better to stack your wide receiver 1 than your wide receiver 3. I would really like to get Cam Ward at pick 164, but his ADP 159, Tua's 155. I don't know if I will get both. So let's at least open that as a possibility and not regret missing out on both. But Dev saying vapes are sketchy. I prefer Bud, but I just realized I'm not buying Bud and paying for more drafts today. Yeah, I understand. No need going out of your way when you already have something. Also, like, I feel like the main concern with stuff like that, almost anything, is long-term exposure. If you've been vaping, all the time, like 10 plus times a day for months on end, let alone years, that's the big problem area. If you do it every now and then, who cares? Your lungs do regenerate. You do have healing capabilities. It's not gonna kill you. But just like smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day for decades is also terrible for you, try and keep to some moderation in general. But we go Cam Ward. We do get that triple stack we were mentioning. So we have Justin Fields, massive rushing value, unstacked. Maybe we go Mason Taylor to fill it out. We have Tua stacked up with Tyreek Hill. So when Tyreek plays well, that's going to pay off. And then Cam Ward with Calvin Ridley. There is some true upside for Cam Ward because their defense isn't great. And I do think they'll be in a lot of shootout / good game script for throwing the ball. So unless interceptions just crater his value. I do think Ward is a decent stacking option. The price on these late round quarterbacks is so affordable, and I don't see like a world of difference between them and some other quarterbacks above them. Like, could I definitely see a world where Cam Ward is more valuable than Trevor Lawrence? Absolutely. I wouldn't bet on it, but it is possible. I could definitely see both Tua and Cam Ward having a better season than Michael Penix. Stroud was terrible last year, so that's not a guarantee. And then guys like JJ McCarthy are going above him as well. Jordan Love was a big letdown. And I could also see Kyler Murray even being just as valuable as guys like Tua and Cam Ward. Kyler was kind of trash last season. So no rushing value with them, but it doesn't matter. It fills out our team in a way I'm comfortable with. But we did mention that Jets stack, so we're going to go Mason Taylor, get our second tight end. Mason Taylor has at least a very clear path to playing time. No one is on the depth chart above him, and there's also very few target competition in the Jets offense as well. We've seen Cole Kmet as a viable tight end with Justin Fields. I think someone else is going to have value in New York, and the targets can't all just go to Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. Mason Taylor could see 100 targets in his rookie year, so we'll grab him, and I think call it a day at tight end. We need another running back on this team. We also need 2 more receivers. Those will be the last 3 picks on this roster. But so far, I like the team. We have Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, Travion Henderson, and Isaac Guerendo at running back. So a little bit risky going with the studs in the first 2 rounds, but we get good value on Henderson, so the depth filled out nicely. And obviously, if McCaffrey misses any time, Guerendo has top 12 upside at running back. But we waited on receiver. We filled it out with Tyreek Hill, Devontae Smith, and Calvin Ridley. And then Brandon Ayuk, Josh Downs, Luther Burden. And Luther Burden kind of scares me, but if he does pay off, that is definitely a nice offense to be investing in the passing game in Chicago. So we have not drafted a receiver in a while. We should probably get to that. Unless there's one of the last running backs I trust available, we'll probably prioritize running back a little bit more. Receiver a little bit more, excuse me. We have Taylor, so I think I'm going to pass on DJ Giddens. And I'll just go Jalen Wright. I asked you guys early on who are some names you're taking at the end of the draft, and Johnny Bravo did endorse Jalen Wright earlier on. So that's where we'll go. We'll take him. Hopefully Ollie Gordon does not ruin his value, but we do have Tua, and in the scenario where Devon Achane gets hurt, this would be a good correlation to have, and Jalen Wright would have equally high upside as Isaac Guerendo. If that job is his, the ceiling is phenomenal in the Dolphins backfield. So we will go Jalen Wright. Not a player I need to contribute like crazy given the options I already have, but if he does crack our lineup, it's in a scenario where he is extremely, extremely effective. So that's our last running back. We need 2 more receivers, and we can go Ayamanor or Tyler Lockett for our Cam Ward stack. I think Lockett is kind of washed. I'm not dying to take him. I think I'd rather hope that the rookie can work out. I think I'd rather go Ayamanor than Lockett. Lockett feels like a bit more of a mentor. That's mainly like a locker room guy. You know, the veteran. Not just for the receivers, but also for the quarterback. I think that's mainly Lockett's role. But perhaps it pays off on the field as well. He was just not very good last season. I'm willing to take the swing for more upside on Elik Ayamanor. Ayamanor's a decent prospect. I thought he would be going early round 3. He fell to the 4th round. He was actually the second receiver they drafted. They did take Cameron DK above him. He's 6'2", 206 pounds. His arms 32 inches based on his height. That's not the longest you would expect, but ran a 4.44 for his size. That's pretty fast. 89th percentile in terms of speed, and his catch radius is over 10 feet. And I do know he has 10-inch hands as well. He had the largest hands of any receiving prospect at the combine. So played 2 years at Stanford, last 2 seasons. Both years he had 6 touchdowns, but he did have a dip in production last season. Fell from 1,013 yards down to 831. And similar target share, same amount of catches basically. He was just less efficient on that volume. But 6 touchdowns in 12 games. He at least should offer some upside in the red zone, coming in at 6'2", 206 pounds. His best comp is Khalil Shakir, according to Player Profiler. So I'll grab him. Maybe we'll take a peek at DK as well, because they actually did take DK a little bit before they took Yamanor. Both in the same round. His best comp is Mike Wallace, which is probably a better comp to have. 6'1", 196, same length on the arms, and is faster. Ran a 4.34, which is 98th percentile. That is a little more impressive. But I can't say he was on my radar in the same regard. Did play at Florida, though, so I guess does have maybe a pre-existing connection with Cam Ward. But we are the next pick. Lockett does make it back to us. I don't think I'm going to go double receiver in Tennessee. Dev wanted me to go Restrepo earlier. I think I'm going to go Malik Washington instead. Maybe Jalen Waddle gets hurt. Maybe Tyreek Hill goes down. But this does further ingrain ourselves to that Tua stack we did take on earlier on. So I'll go Malik Washington. Almost none of the receivers in this range are guys I'm like really dying to take. And if not for the stack, there is really no justification on this pick. But that's why I take him. And I did really like him as a prospect the year before. He fell to the 7th round, but he did contribute a little bit late in the year. Maybe if Jonnu Smith gets hurt, Malik Washington could be the guy. But Dev does endorse it, so happy with that. Let's just remind you of the full team real quick. Pull it out. At quarterback, we have Justin Fields, Tua, and Cam Ward. And then at running back, we have Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, Travion Henderson, Isaac Guerrero, and Jalen Wright. Love the running back room. Very competitive there. It's just a matter of, will the receivers figure it out? We have Tyreek Hill, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, Brandon Ayuk, Josh Downs. And that's probably safe enough where I don't need a ton of contribution from Luther Burden, Elick Yamanor, or Malik Washington. But they have the upside where if they do contribute, we do have some unique combinations. At tight end, a little bit shaky, but David Njoku keeps us in the running. And then the stack with Mason Taylor and Justin Fields. Hopefully we get some touchdown production like we've seen from Cole Kmet in the past. So I like this team. I think it's competitive. I like the quarterback combos and stacks. Running back is very loaded. And as long as they stay healthy, I think we will compete. I think we will have one of the better teams in this pod. I didn't really look at the other rosters, but just off of how some teams have gone in the past, I think this is a decent one. I'm not too upset with any of the picks I made, but we are done with that one. So let's hop into the second puppy of this stream and the last draft for this video. If you want to join me, I'm on a roughly 10-second delay. So hit that button right now. I'll wait for it and we'll hop in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 3 more spots. 3 more spots. If you want it, come get it. I'm sure it won't take too long for this thing to fill. Yeah, now we're full. Hope you made it in if you wanted to. We get a late round pick this time. We have pick 11. And I do see Dev and Albie in here at pick 6 and 7. So I'm pretty sure that is who I think it is. Yeah, I recognize those names. So happy you're drafting with me. And I can't say I recognize anyone else, but if you are in this draft, let me know. Yeah, Dev's there, Albie's there. You guys have joined me enough where you're the main regulars on the channel drafting with us. But as a good luck charm, let's take another rip. I will be back with you in just a sec. Oh yeah, Dev, you have not drafted with us so far this season. I remember you from last year though. You were in a lot of them last season. But exciting. You have pick 6, Albie has pick 7, and I wish you all good luck. Yeah, I'll try not to snipe anyone, but if I have to, no promises. So far, pretty typical. And Dev goes Malik Neighbors, pick 6, which gives Gibbs to Albie. I'm sure he's happy with a little discount on Gibbs. But I do think once you pass Lamb, I do think Neighbors is a completely justified pick. Whether it's Neighbors, Puka, or St. Brown, I think you can go with it, whichever one you want. I think they're all great picks. Only reason to maybe discount Neighbors a little bit is his quarterback situation, but last year he only played 15 games. His quarterback situation was trash as well, and he had 150 targets in that span. So running back has been really pushed up. We see McCaffrey and Genty go above me, so at pick 11, I get St. Brown to fall. Very happy with that. There's a chance we go double receiver, and I'd be super, super excited if we get either Nico Collins or Brian Thomas at pick 14. If not, I may take London. I think after going double running back, I'm trying to go double receiver, so I'd love a Brian Thomas Jr. here. Will Team 12 let me have it? No, I do get sniped. And we have taken Bowers once in the past and not hated it, but I do want to mix it up. And after going RB, I'm going to go wide receiver. So we do kind of reach on London. It kind of negates some of the value we got on St. Brown by falling 2 picks. Like St. Brown usually goes at pick 9, and in the 9 slot, their second pick is number 16. That is London's ADP. So I'm just taking pick 9 at pick 11, and I'm not going to be upset about that. I like to move away from receiver at the next turn with at least one selection, and grabbing this combo gives me the luxury to not prioritize receiver like crazy later on. So I'll definitely take 2 receivers in the next 4 rounds, but I'm not going to be forced to double tap that position every time. So I like this start. London is definitely poised for some success. London was hyper efficient last year, especially when Penix was the quarterback. So it's a very small sample size. I don't want to buy into it too much. But if you only look at the last 3 weeks of the season, that's when Penix was the starter, the numbers for London were exceptional. An average of 13 targets per game, 7.3 catches, that's 22 catches in 3 games, for 352 yards. That's 117 per week, and 2 touchdowns in 3 games. That is an extra 4 points on average. So all in all together, we are looking at almost 19 points per game from London in these last 3 games. However, it's extremely inflated. One reason why I don't buy into it completely, it's extremely inflated by week 18, where he had 18 targets, 10 catches, 187 yards, and both of those touchdowns. And the reason why I don't trust that game at all, it went into overtime. It was a must win, and Darnell Mooney was inactive. Mooney was not healthy for that one. I believe he had a foot injury at the end of the season, and Kyle Pitts is definitely not threatening him for targets. So this is actually a big outlier, but it is emblematic of something that is possible for London, especially if Mooney or Pitts goes down this season. Expect a big target share. It's not the first time London has gone over 150 receiving yards. He did it in week 5 against Tampa, and he's actually owned Tampa in his career. If we look at his game log, specifically against Tampa Bay, Drake London often has like a huge effing game against Tampa Bay, but it's not pulling up. Usually there's an option to check out against specific teams, but I'm not going to spend too much time on London. Just take my word for it. I know for a fact that's the case. I've done a lot of research on London in the past, and he does own Tampa Bay when they play in Atlanta. So we will get some big spike weeks, a huge target share. London's not going anywhere, and the combo of St. Brown and London is extremely safe to start out this draft. But around the long term, we see Albie go Ladd McConkey, Terry McLaurin. I am on the clock, and I don't see a huge difference between Brees and James Cook. I think we'll just take Mike Evans, but I can definitely justify a Tet McMillan selection as well. We'll go Mike Evans. Usually touchdowns are guaranteed for Mike Evans, so he usually outperforms his ADP. I think he has another year left in the tank. They drafted Emeka Egbuka, but with Chris Godwin not being fully healthy, that's probably an insurance policy on Godwin. But maybe Evans does not crack 1,000 yards for the first time. He is getting older, but I think he has one more year left where he's a safe pick. But Brees Hall and James Cook still make it back around. I have James Cook ranked higher, so I'm going to stick to my rankings even though ADP has Brees Hall here. I will pass on Brees Hall. I don't trust Brees Hall anymore. That Jets offense is not one that's safe, and Justin Fields is actually never a good addition for the running back value in fantasy. He does not check it down anywhere near as much as you want him to. If anything, Justin Fields is going to choose to run it himself. So the true value on Brees Hall is his receiving value. And if that's going to get cut by like 20, 30% this year with Justin Fields, Brees Hall is not going to be safe at all. So I'd much rather have James Cook. I'd rather just invest in the Bills offense. And even though the ADP is flipped, I am trusting my rankings. I'm going with James Cook and higher touchdown odds here at pick 38. But Brees Hall does go to Dev at pick 6. He now has Malik Neighbors, Devon Achane, Marvin Harrison, and Brees Hall. And when you get Brees at a value and Cook is off the board, I think it's a fine pick, but I kind of don't really see a difference too much in Brees Hall and Joe Mixon, and Mixon is going round 5. So I'm actually kind of just off of Brees Hall this year. I don't think you'll see me take him very often. If you do, it'll be at a value like this, where he falls like 6+ spots, and I really am desperate to grab a running back. So that's probably not something you'll see me do too much this year. I prefer James Cook straight up over Brees Hall. I'd also rather have Omarion Hampton over Brees Hall. That's my take on it. I could definitely be wrong, though. He was elite 2 years ago, and he was a massive bust last year. Dev, happy, though, that I pass on Brees Hall. He's very, very excited to have him in round 4. There's definitely a bunch of upside with Brees. I think they actually want more of a committee, and Justin Fields, I think, craters the ceiling. And the floor is already kind of shaky. So I think there's more risk with Brees Hall than some people think. But I will admit, I did draft him on one of my teams last year in redraft, and that was one of the worst teams I have ever had. And Brees Hall was a big reason why. I expected I was getting a top 3 running back. He barely finished top 15 at the position last season. Brees Hall was atrociously bad last year. So I have a sour taste in my mouth. I'm off of Brees Hall for a while. Albie, though, at pick 7 has Gibbs, Lad McConkey, Terry McLaurin, Jaden Daniels stacked, as well as Zay Flowers. Good value on Flowers. Wow. At that point, I definitely think Flowers is a good pick. I am on the clock. I was hoping I could get RJ Harvey for like the first time this season, but it seems like RJ Harvey's falling. We'll probably get him at some point later on. Running back, I don't see a huge change in value the rest of the way. We already have Mike Evans, so I'm going to pass on Godwin. I'm going to go Rome Odunze. I don't really want to bet on JJ McCarthy with Addison, so I'll pass on Addison. And that suspension does offer a little bit of risk. So I'm going to take Rome. We grabbed Luther Burden last time. And I did kind of feel like investing in Chicago's offense is never a bad decision. So this does justify a Caleb Williams stack in the next turn, and I will take it. So we go Rome Odunze, and with Hubbard off the board, the next best available running back I do think is Kenneth Walker, but Walker kind of scares me. Walker has not been able to stay healthy throughout his career, and Charbonnet looks really, really effective to the point where I'm worried about his touch split this season in Seattle. So Walker, kind of a risky selection, but we have seen some like elite athleticism out of him. And last year they did rave about him. The coaching staff was all in love with Kenneth Walker to start the season. So if he doesn't get hurt, I think he will hold on to his job security, but I can't say Walker is like the safest investment you can make. All the running backs at this point, past RJ Harvey and Chuba Hubbard, really come with some risk. So we don't luck out like last time when Henderson fell into the 60s. We get Walker at 62. And that's definitely a tier break, a little bit below Henderson's value. But I'll take it. He does have a lot of upside if he remains healthy, but kind of risky. Chad the Dad is saying, I get Mike Evans, DK, Aaron Jones selling Judkins and AR smash. Just one full PPR. San Francisco Superflex, 12-team start, 11. Holy shit. There's a lot of info here, man. There's a lot of info. Okay, so at running back, you got Gibbs, A-Chain, Kyron, and Judkins and Harvey. Okay, running back is freaking loaded, man. Receivers, JSN, Rome, Olave, Flowers, Ladd. Kind of risky, but Ladd does fill it in somewhat well. It's full PPR. So having JSN is good. Olave does gain some value. Quarterbacks are Stroud, AR, and Geno. So QB a little shaky, but some upside. If Stroud can get back to what he once was, that would really be nice. I would love a stack on this team, but definitely not like completely necessary. Quarterbacks, kind of a concerning spot for you. That's all. But running back is so loaded, I think you can probably afford to make a trade and come out with a great room there. I would consider trading like Kyron or A-Chain. One of those guys. You don't have to, though. Just a consideration. Yeah, I do think Ridley's a bit safer than Flowers. What's weird about Flowers is he has those massive spike weeks, and then the next week he'll disappear. It'll go from like 110 yards down to 20. And then he also rarely scores touchdowns. Lamar threw over 40 touchdowns last year. Only 4 of them went to Flowers. For some reason, they do not target him as much as you would expect. But we have 4 receivers, and we start off with St. Brown and London early on. So I don't feel like I have to go with receiver here. I'm going to go DeAndre Swift and grab my preferred running back in this range. I'd be a bit more pissed to get sniped on Swift than any of the other running backs. So that's who we take. We're going to pass on Aaron Jones, and we are going to reach a little bit on Caleb Williams here, and sets up a triple stack with Caleb, DeAndre Swift, and Rome Odunze. Swift is a pass catcher, and I think half of his touchdowns this year could easily be in the passing game. If Swift puts up like 10 touchdowns, expect at least 4 of them to be receptions. So that is a stack I do think works out. And then Rome could potentially eclipse DJ Moore. So we have a double stack here with Caleb. And that Bears offense does have some true upside. So don't hate it. Don't hate it at all. I will take Swift and Caleb at this turn. Some people get a better price on Caleb, but if we get Rome at pick 11, I can't really envision the team with DJ Moore passing on him. DJ Moore is like right before us at 39. So I do think that was the right pick. And then the team at number 10, I guess number 9, goes Luther Burden at 88. So there was no way in hell Caleb was making it to 105 and then getting passed by 2 teams that have stacking options as well. So I think that was clearly the right pick. Wanting this stack is the way to go, grabbing Caleb there at pick 86. But Albie at pick 7 goes Darnell Mooney, and then Dev with Marvin Harrison at pick 6 goes with Kyler Murray. So a justified pick, that's for sure. The team with McBride was right after you. I definitely think that was if that's the stack you want, that's the way to get it. But after I go Caleb, we see Diggs, Burden. There's no chance I'm taking Burden above Darnell Mooney and Cooper Kupp. That's a weird pick there by Team 9. A bit of a reach, in my opinion. Dev saying I faded him so hard last year, I'm in on him like I was Josh Jacobs last year. I assume you're talking about Breece Hall. Albie says he's tiny, so he gets lost in the red zone. He scored on long touchdowns usually. Now you're talking about Zay Flowers. Yeah, if he doesn't score on some yak, they are not dialing it up for him. In the red zone, they are Mark Andrews and Derrick Henry all day. They even throw to Rashad Bateman in the red zone above Zay Flowers. Bateman had 9 touchdowns last year, and some of them were deep bombs as well. But Zay Flowers, never the go-to target. I don't know if he's just double teamed like crazy or they just hate to use him that way, but that is just not his role at all in that offense. So we're about to be back on the clock, and maybe this is one of the first times I go with Travis Kelce, but can't say I'm dying to do that. I think I'm going to pass on Kelce. The team after me already has a tight end, and they only have 3 receivers. So I think that team is going to be doubling up on receiver, and we can go Trey Harris. But last time we took Josh Downs. This time we'll go Michael Pittman, and Pittman at least is paid handsomely. Should be the number 1 target in his offense. We will take Pittman instead. We do have Caleb Williams, so forcing a Herbert stack is not the end of the world. And I will go with Pittman in round 9. Past pick 100, Pittman is probably worth the value. But wow, I wanted to go Kelce. Thought that's what I would do. But at this point, I think Trey Harris is one of a tier break type of receivers. Him and Pittman are kind of the same. But with Harris available, we will just take Trey Harris. I don't think you can kind of replicate the locked-in volume that you're going to see from Trey Harris. Maybe Jack Betch is a candidate for that type of volume. Also a second-round pick, but not as good of an offense. And it just dries up like crazy at this point. We kind of luck out here. 10 picks past ADP, we get Trey Harris. Didn't expect to get both, but I will take it. Shore up the receiver depth on this roster. But I have actually looked into some numbers. I'm starting to talk myself into Keon Coleman as well in this range. I think Keon Coleman, Michael Pittman, Trey Harris, and I guess if you want to take a shot on Kyle Williams, some of the last names at receiver you can be somewhat comfortable with on your roster and expecting them to contribute. It is just so gross beyond this point. Even when we missed out on Jaden Reed, it gets really, really disgusting. But this full tier from Stephon Diggs all the way through Trey Harris, all similar upside. Not the worst floor, though. But Albie saying, I feel like I should have drafted Lamar. Did you pass on Lamar? you would have had to take Lamar instead of Terry. So while yes, it works out where you get the Flowers stack, that's not really like a guarantee. And you would be reaching on Lamar. I don't see a huge value in Jaden Daniels and Terry as opposed to Lamar and then like Xavier Worthy, let's say, and Zay Flowers. I think that worked out just fine for you. But obviously Lamar has usually been a little bit better in fantasy. The nice thing about Lamar is that you can get Andrews at such a value. Like even at pick 103, he's a smash pick. You get him there at 114, and that's insanely good value. Tight end has been extremely like neutered this year. Like for some reason, unless you're getting Bowers or Trey McBride, no one cares about tight end at a value early on. Like Kittle's probably the most appropriately priced guy in round 5, but even that kind of feels like you're kind of overspending. Laporta, TJ Hawkinson kind of feel like it's too risky, given you can get Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce in the 9th and sometimes 10th round. Even David Njoku, Evan Ingram, past pick 120 is like insane value at tight end. I completely agree with Mr. Grapefruit here. Passing on them is the way to go in general. But some stacks we have set up are like Michael Penix with Drake London. We miss out on Herbert. May gets taken. I think I'm going to grab Tucker Kraft because we need a tight end. And if Love is back on the board, we'll just probably grab Jordan Love. Because if not, I'd be reaching on Penix. And I'd probably just rather hope that Penix can fall back to 155 instead of taking him here at 134. I'll gamble on Penix. But do I go running back instead? I'm going to take Rachaad White. Running back, a little bit thin. We have James Cook, Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift, and now Rachaad White. Rachaad White is one of those few like guaranteed handcuffs that is totally worth this price. Like I would much rather have Rachaad White than Ramondre Stevenson all day, every day. I think I'd rather have Rachaad White than Travis Etienne and Bashal Tutin. I think there's higher upside if Bucky Irving goes down. And the weekly role for Rachaad White, I can't tell you is going to be that much less valuable than the role for Etienne or Tutin. So Rachaad, I think, is justified here. Tajay in a worse offense, not my favorite pick either. And while we almost went Jordan Love, we are taking a gamble that Michael Penix comes all the way back around and falls 9 picks. I think it can happen. Albie does have Darnell Mooney, so he knows what we're trying to get. He does have Jaden Daniels and Herbert, though. So he already sniped us once. I doubt he snipes us for a QB3 when he has Daniels and Herbert. So that is fine. And then the only other stacking option would be Kyle Pitts, that team with Dev there. He has Kyler, and we'll see. But if I can make it past Dev, I think I will get him at 155. I think he can make it to me. It's worth a shot. We already have Caleb, and I don't think I need like insanely good receivers, but maybe passing on Love was not the right move. Like if I get sniped on Penix, I'm actually kind of in the red here on QB. But looks like Deb does not want Penix. Looks like Albie will pass. So thank y'all. Give me a shot. But they're not the only teams in this draft, so might not work out. Everyone else has 2 quarterbacks, though. I think it'll work out. when you hear the intro mid stream, you know exactly what's going to happen. Just had to finish the bowl. We've got a shot here. Perhaps instead of Rashad, I should have gone Tyler Algier, but either way, we were reaching when we took a running back at that previous pick. Just because he's the cheapest one, I do think Tank Bigsby is a good selection at this price. But will Tootin or Etienne have the job above him? Probably. I really have no idea what the Jags backfield's going to look like. Yes. Penix does fall. And the team behind us only has one quarterback. There's no effing chance we're passing on Penix. When we have London on the team. Grapefruit says Penix goes hard. Penix throws a beautiful spiral. Penix has a cannon. I do think there's a lot of value in that Falcons passing game. It's just a question of, will they lean on Gibbs too much? I mean, lean on Bijan too much. I think I'm going to go Quentin Johnston. QJ, not like a great pick, but we also have Trey Harris. If Lad McConkey goes down, then these two Chargers receivers move up the depth chart. And I also envision a bit of a flip-flopping touchdown production from the both of them. Like, if they both combine for 12 touchdowns and it all happens in different weeks, this could be a good, like, best ball combination where when one doesn't have any value, the other one does spike into our lineup. So kind of a hedge, but also a bit of a strategy as well. I think our receiver room is deep enough where we can take this gamble that if one of them is a 0, the other one is just so productive that it really overcompensates and guarantees we are working it out. So would have loved to have that Herbert stack on this team, but we do not get it. It's okay. And right now we're rolling with Caleb Williams stacked up with DeAndre Swift and Rome Odunze. We have Michael Penix stacked up with Drake London. And then at running back, we have James Cook, Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift, and Rachaad White. Receiver, we got St. Brown, London, Evans, Odunze, Pittman, Trey Harris, Quentin Johnston. Tight end, we're rolling with Tucker Kraft. I think we need 2 more tight ends on this team for us to really compete at a high level. Dev says Penix is a baller. Love his arm. Bijan will be so much better now that there's a real passing threat. The velocity from Kirk Cousins just wasn't there at the same rate. But Mr. Grapefruit is saying it's why a guy like Bryce Young is appealing, cheap, and you can see the spike upside. Yeah, these late round quarterbacks I think are really, really valuable. I don't feel afraid to draft a QB1 high. Like, I'm not opposed to getting Lamar, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts. I'm not against that at all. But especially when I do that, I wait as long as I can to get the backup. And even when I get a mid-round quarterback, like we took Caleb kind of high, whether it's Bo Nix around later or Jared Goff, Justin Fields, I still feel like pairing them with some of these late-round quarterbacks is a wise decision because there's going to be a lot of variance in terms of high spike weeks and the difference between Penix's potential and Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert. It's not that much different. It's just a matter of, do they eclipse 30 touchdowns or remain under 25? Like, that is really the difference. But we can easily see a Bo Nix season with over 30 touchdowns from Penix this year. It could definitely happen. He has what it takes. He's a good quarterback. I think in hindsight, the Falcons made the right decision drafting him at number 8. They probably made the wrong decision just bringing in Kirk Cousins. But I think drafting Penix was the right call last year. You definitely feel a lot more confident in their potential long term with Penix as opposed to Cousins right now. So it kind of seems like a good move in hindsight. But we are going to go Hunter Henry. I think Henry's a very good pick here, given we only have one tight end so far. And the team behind us has Kyle Williams. I think one of the teams right ahead of us has Drake May. So kind of surprised he made it this far. They go Keenan Allen instead. And Keenan Allen has been falling like a rock. Keenan has yet to sign. There is some upside with Keenan, though. But we have 3 more picks. And we need a running back. I don't think I'm taking Hopkins or DeMario. I'm going to go with Will Shipley. Obviously, it's not something we're expecting to happen, but if Saquon goes down, Shipley is poised for a ton of volume. So he is a valuable handcuff. There are some games where he won't contribute at all. And I do like DJ Giddens in this range. I think that was a very justified pick, but I am trying to diversify. I've taken Giddens a lot. I have not taken much Shipley as of yet. So I mix it up. Maybe Taylor stays fully healthy this year. Last year, it was the other way around where Saquon was fully healthy. Taylor had a high ankle sprain, missed 3 weeks. But there's also some potential that the Eagles are in, some big shootouts, some blowout games. And in the fourth quarter, they do bench Saquon a little bit. And Shipley, finds his way into the end zone. So that is possible. At least Kenny Gainwell is gone. You know for sure that Shipley's the guy. And it's kind of the same argument with DJ Giddens, Marshawn Lloyd. They're guaranteed the handcuff value. It's just a question of, will the starter go down? So for that reason, I'm willing to mix it up sometimes. But in general, I do rank Giddens and Marshawn Lloyd ahead of Will Shipley. I'm just pivoting, mixing it up this time. Dev likes AJ Dillon. Yo, I've given up on AJ Dillon, man. AJ Dillon has been so disappointing. When he gets the ball, like, even if the volume's there, he almost never finds the end zone. His yards per carry is abysmal. Like, I know it's just massive quads in that backfield with Saquon and AJ Dillon, but I see a bit more upside from Will Shipley, especially in the passing game. I think that would be the role he'd be looking at. So it is a gamble. Maybe AJ Dillon is the guy, but so far, at least the Eagles drafted Shipley. They do believe in him, and they moved off of Gainwell before they signed AJ Dillon. So he's in their plans, but I don't think he's above Shipley on the depth chart. So I'll go with Shipley, but it may be more of a committee than I expect. Maybe for that reason, Giddens or Lloyd would be the better pick, but maybe Sampson's a better pick. Maybe Devin Neal has more of a path for volume. We really have no idea. And for that reason, mixing it up is not the worst strategy. Sometimes you'll see me take those other guys. That's for sure. But we have Kraft and Henry. I think we need one more tight end probably on this team. We have 5 running backs: Cook, Walker, Swift, White, and Shipley. And then at receiver, we have St. Brown, Drake London, Mike Evans, Roma Dunze, Pittman, Trey Harris, and Quentin Johnston. I think I'm going to go Woody Marks, if available. We get sniped on Woody Marks. That's a bummer. I'm not totally sure where to go with this pick, so I'm going to grab a tight end. I know I would be targeting. We're going to go Ben Sennett, bet against Zach Ertz, and just give myself a little more time to draft a receiver or running back. Let me think about it a little bit more. Kind of strange that Jalen Tolbert has basically fallen to undrafted. I still think he has a role in Dallas. Kind of a gamble of a pick, but I think it's a little more valuable on this team to have that 8th receiver than the 6th running back. I think we can piece it together at running back with who we got. I think I'll be okay. But this is the team. We have Caleb stacked up with Swift and Roma Dunze. Michael Penix stacked up with just Drake London. Maybe I should have gone Ray McLeod instead there, just for the sake of the stack. But it's okay. We have 2 quarterbacks with the same bye week. That's not good. But we got Penix at such a discount, and I think we can piece together. Hopefully that does not burn me, but obviously it's not ideal. Running back, James Cook, Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift, Rashad White, and Will Shipley. Feels a bit risky. Feels a little risky, but if the touchdowns repeat for Cook and Walker stays healthy, then Swift will contribute enough where I don't need White or Shipley that much. But a little bit shaky. Wide receiver, we got St. Brown, London, Evans, Odunze, Pittman, Trey Harris, Quentin Johnson, and Tolbert. I think that's the strength of this team by far. Definitely competitive at receiver. And then tight end, we have 3 of them. Good options in Kraft, Henry, and Sennett. Good touchdown upside, high floor with Henry every week. And then Sennett has league-winning value if he does have a Zach Ertz type of season, if Ertz at his age does go down. So that's the team. Not bad. Could have maybe been better at running back, but I think competitive enough to compete. Let's take a look at Albie and Dev's team since they are drafting with us, and then I will sign off on this draft. Dev at pick 6 goes Kyler, stacked up with Trey Benson, Marvin Harrison Jr., so it does have the stack. Also has Cam Ward stacked with Calvin Ridley and Xavier Restrepo. You also have Bryce Young, I believe unstacked, except with Jalen Coker. Has Coker to stack up with Bryce Young. So quarterback trio, very good. We've mentioned these cheap values on the young guys. Definitely some high upside if they pay off. The stacks are so affordable. It's something you should mix in every now and then. At running back, you have A-Chain, Breece Hall to value, Najee Harris, Zach Charbonnet. That's a good combo. And then you have Trey Benson, Jarquez Hunter. So some high upside handcuffs. I'm not sure you need Hunter on this team, but not a bad investment. If he eclipses Blake Corum, I would not be that shocked. Corum kind of looked like a bust last year, but instead of the 8th wide receiver, you take Hunter, and at receiver you have Neighbors, Harrison, Ridley, Debo, Pearsall, Coker, and Restrepo. Yeah, I think personally I'd rather have the 8th receiver than Jarquez Hunter. A little bit shaky past Pearsall. I don't really trust Coker, and then Restrepo's a big gamble, even though he knows Ward from his college days. But then tight end, you have Kyle Pitts and Mason Taylor. If Kyle Pitts works out, it's not bad, but Kyle Pitts as your tight end 1 is a big gamble. So tight end and receiver depth, a little bit risky, but otherwise I do like this team. I think running back is really loaded and lock solid. If I'm wrong about Breece, you have a good team there. But let's check out Albie's team before we sign off. Albie has Jaden Daniels stacked up with Terry McLaurin. Also has, De'Ami Brown signed in Jacksonville this time around. But you do have Zach Ertz at tight end. So if I'm wrong about Sennett, that'll work out. You have Herbert stacked up with Ladd, and maybe you were a bit pissed I sniped you on one of those receivers, but that's still good. Definitely rather have Ladd stacked than anyone else. And then Richardson, I believe, is unstacked here. Yeah, Richardson unstacked. Richardson has that rushing value and does make sense on the roster. So the Chargers and Commanders have the same bye. I assume that's probably why you took Richardson. I don't know if you need the 3rd quarterback for any reason other than that. But running back, you have Gibbs, Kamara, Garendo, Ray Davis, and Dylan Sampson. So really high upside handcuffs. I kind of wish you had a middle tier running back 3 instead, because Kamara, I'm not convinced will play a full season at his age. If he doesn't get traded, he's kind of risky as your only strong running back other than Gibbs. But if Gibbs, pays off so well, it's probably worth it. Garendo has so much upside. Ray Davis also a good handcuff. And then Sampson at an ADP value Sampson's good. Receiver, you have McConkey, McLaurin, Flowers at a good value. Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney, Jaden Higgins, De'Ami Brown. So only 7 receivers. And then tight end, Andrews, Ertz, and Okonkwo. I have started to think Ertz is like a really risky pick. He's 34. I'm going to be like heavily invested in Senate than Ertz. But last year, everyone drafted Senate instead of Ertz, and everyone was wrong. So if this year happens again, that is the right pick. We'll see. But when you have Andrews and Okonkwo, you can figure it out. I feel like either Richardson or one of these backup tight ends is a luxury that I personally would pivot to receiver. I think when you're relying on De'Ami Brown as wide receiver 7, I'd like to have an 8th. That's just me. Maybe it's too cautious, but I think if I would change one thing, that is it. I think running back is fine, but either give me a receiver for Richardson or one of Ertz. You have Ward, so probably keep Okonkwo. Yeah, that's what I would do. But Albie said I was trying to salvage a stack with AD Mitchell, but I got sniped. Yeah, I understand. But I wouldn't be trying to stack any of those Steelers receivers. If it's not Downs or Pittman, I don't think it's worth it. Even with them, I think it's kind of overrated. They have too many mouths to feed in the Colts offense for me to really feel safe with anyone. I think there's a lot of landmines in the Colts receiving room, but that upside with running backs can really be clutch late in the season. Yeah, the handcuffs can work out. But Scott Jung says, first time here, I just subscribed. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the subscription. If anyone enjoyed this live stream, if they are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as well. Hit that like button for me before I sign off. And thank you all, everyone who joined me in the chat, joined me drafting, and is here in the audience. I appreciate everyone. I'll see you next time. On Monday, we will do a Best Ball Mania in one of the live streams. And in the next half hour, keep your eye out. I will be posting my win-loss picks for the AFC West, my first win-loss prediction video of the season. So look forward to that. I'll see you guys on Monday. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. Peace out. Bye-bye.